Thanks so much, Martin, for jumping on. We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I just thought, with you being an entrepreneur and the story that you told me, I thought it'd be really cool to, I guess, share it with my LinkedIn connections and ask you three questions, right? And I know being an entrepreneur, and you also helped me out with business cards as well, so I'm going to link them on the LinkedIn notes afterwards. But let's just jump straight into it, man. And the first question really is to tell us about your career and obviously your life as well up to this point and the countries you've been to, what you've done, and because I think it's an amazing story.
Well, number one, Gary, thanks for having me here. I think you're an awesome professional, and I'm honored, really, really honored to contribute in a way that I can. And thank you for thinking enough of me to, even create something like that. I think it's really, really needed. And then a lot of people might just listen to one point, or, you know, like I remember when I was listening to other guys, like just growing up and kind of developing my career. So I'm gonna answer your first question here. So grew up in an orphanage in Poland, post-communistic country. So a lot of people at that time. I grew up in a very poor family, so we didn't have anything. When I was a teenager, I ended up in an orphanage because the whole family was, you know, um, really dysfunctional. A lot of alcoholism, and my parents were not educated at all, no education whatsoever. And then eventually I ended up in an orphanage when I was like 13, 14. And that's really where I started thinking, oh shit, like I need to, become an adult and really do something cool with my life. So I really focused on my career, on my life. Since I was like 13, I started working 3 jobs in Krakow, in Poland, and then eventually graduated kind of miraculously because I was never the best student. But I always loved, software, and I was always kind of entrepreneurial. So it had to be developed, but people have certain qualities, and I think that one quality of like kind of being entrepreneurial and just being able to always, we have a word in Polish, which basically means kombinować. I don't think there's a direct translation, but it means to
Yeah.
like really be able to be resourceful. That's what it means. Like that, I think that's the closest translation. So at the age of 18, I left the orphanage. The orphanage was Catholic nuns, so it was very Catholic in Krakow, in Poland. Left the orphanage. At the age of 19, I graduated from this IT technical school in Krakow, and then I didn't have anything, just one suitcase, maybe $500, $600 to my name. I left Krakow, went to London in the UK, and I didn't know anybody there. So from there, basically, I landed in London. The only guy that I knew was guy who was managing, kind of construction business in Sutton in London. He was a Polish guy, so I was able to kind of get them to give me a job for like 2 months. It was £6 per hour. And for my first 2 months in London, big city from Krakow, I never traveled anywhere because I didn't have any money. Really, it was, kind of like, wow, just kind of like jumping in the pool. And I don't speak the language. I don't know anything about the culture, anything. I just knew that there were a lot of Polish people that, went to London, or, and then they did pretty well. And because of the currency conversion at that time, so over 10 years ago, it was way better because you could actually get farther ahead with like pounds converting to Polish zloty. Now it's not as, I think it's kind of blended now. So you can't really arbitrage as well as you could before. And so, I really, really advanced in my career, and got promoted very quickly as a software developer after the construction. Maybe I'm just gonna add the little story here, like the construction
Yeah.
business. Like all those Polish construction workers were kind of just, drinking beer and then working for 10 hours. And they would just talk about like stupid things that weren't leading anywhere. And I'm like, I'm 19. I need to get out of here like as soon as possible. So within 2 months of me kind of cold calling and putting my CV, no experience whatsoever in software. I've built maybe a few websites in Poland and graduated from this IT kind of school in Poland. It's not even university. It's just kind of like something. It's a vocational school, so you get a degree in IT as a IT technician. But I was always very driven, this kind of entrepreneurial spirit, and so what I did, like I met a guy named Rob. Rob, if you're listening to this, he's on LinkedIn. Maybe we can tag in somewhere. But he found me somehow online, and he called me and he's like, "Hey, it's Rob. I'd like to invite you for let's chat. Maybe I can help you find a job." And I met up with him. I said, "Hey, maybe I can help your business here. These are the websites that I've done. I can do some custom coding." I was a junior software developer, website developer. And so this guy, Rob, is like, "Hey, I know a friend in Farrington. He's leading a company. Maybe I can connect you and you guys can do something. Maybe he can give you a job." So he did that. Next day, after 2 months of just working there 10 hours a day and then cold calling people during lunch and then just doing research on my old laptop that I brought from Poland to the UK, how to get a job. Obviously learning English all the time. I was constantly learning English because I couldn't even understand what the English people were, telling me with the like thick accents. I couldn't understand what they were communicating to me really. So this guy connected me with another guy, and this Englishman sent me a message. Like, he never even met me. He's like, "Hey, we're looking for someone like you. When could you start working?" I'm like, "What?" And the next question was, "How much would you like per hour?" I'm like, wow, check out the power of connection. The guy that I met, I presented to him, pitched to him. He knew that I just came. I've never worked here before. The guy connected me with his friend based in Farrington in London, central London. They had a beautiful office there. I think the company called IMA or something like that, SEO company, and they were doing a lot of websites development as well. And so for me, it was a whole new world. And just I kind of make this story short because that was a pivotal kind of like highlight story that I loved. Like he's like, I'm like, I don't know, maybe 10 pounds per hour. I'm getting 6 here. Let's 10. He's like, "Yeah, okay. When can you start?" Let's start from Monday. Okay. So next Monday I came to the office. I was the first one to the office. Then he came, kind of showed me around, and I'm like, this is all so new. Wow. Then I met my first friend, kind of second friend, like all Englishmen. I tried to kind of assimilate because one thing that I see the immigrants are doing, like when they move somewhere, they try to find a Polish community, Spanish community, that community. I'm like, no. That's not me. Like I'm finding an English community. I'm moving to England. I'm finding an English community. So I ended up working with just English people for the first few years because I wanted to understand how they work, how they think, how they operate. So, and I was just developing. I was in my early 20s and I really quickly got promoted. Started my first startup in the software business, went bankrupt because I chose the wrong partner, lost a lot of money. Then came back to the corporate world, quickly regained my money in London. I was traveling the world, became a contractor with Canon, the camera company as well. Started getting, cool checks and started getting more clients, more contracts, started hiring people. And then one of the guys, Pavel, he's my business partner, is probably watching. So he's running the company called Emersoft. It's my umbrella company, software business. And bro, we grew this business to like almost 20 employees. Then COVID hit, all the contracts stopped, kind of paused. And I had clients in the US, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the US. I didn't have any green card. I didn't know anyone. I had some clients there already. But I'm like, let's do the same thing that I did in the UK just a few years ago. So long story short, went to England, no permit, nothing, no green card, didn't know anyone, peak of COVID. And I know we're short on time, so I'm just going to be very, very short here. And I'm going to answer the next questions very quickly. So we'll wrap it up. But anyway, like, how do you go to the US when like you can't? Like, you remember there was this law where you couldn't travel from Europe to the US. You
Yes.
couldn't move
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like, unless you have a permit during COVID, there was this law in place that Europeans couldn't travel. You had to have a permit. So I didn't have any permit. I'm like, I mean, let's use the brain. What can we do? So people were telling me, oh, you can go through Dubai. I heard some stories. You could go from Mexico, then wait for like quarantine for 2 weeks, then go to the US. And I'm like, I called some lawyers, like, what do you guys think about it? Don't do it. You're gonna be deported. It's illegal. You shouldn't be doing this. So anyway, I did that. Didn't guarantee, nobody guaranteed anything that I'll be allowed to kind of get in. It was peak COVID, remember? So I get to the airport, I get to customs, and the border, guard, the customs is like, I'm the only guy at the airport in Vegas. Like, think about it, from Mexico, the only guy in Vegas. And the guy is like, why are you here? I'm like, I came to do business. She's like, what's your business? Software. And he's like, this is not non-essential. Like, you shouldn't be here. Why are you here? We're gonna deport you. Where are you coming from? I'm from Mexico. And so he's like, okay, wait here. So they took me to this interrogation room, and there was like some other, I don't know, criminal from who knows where in Latin America, speaking in Spanish. He had a translator. That was the only guy in this interrogation room with him, and border guards. And they started asking me questions. Why are you here? Like, they looked at my story, my history, and my business. After 15, like half an hour, the guy walks out with my passport. I'm kind of shaking. I'm like, I'm probably gonna be deported, blacklisted. I'm never gonna go back to the UK. I'm thinking all the different scenarios in my head. And the guy walks out, and he's like, Marcin, yeah, here's your visa. Enjoy your stay. I got 6 months, found a lawyer, immigration lawyer, an awesome guy, by the way. Within like 1 year and a half, I got my green card because of my accomplishments and international interest, basically, to the United States. And I'm bringing so much value that they're willing to give me a green card on the spot, pretty much. So I got that done. And then really, really focused on the US side of things. And then I obviously met Gary Cardone, met Note 40 guys. And then that was the last 3 years where I really met so many smart people, investors, that I was able to, pick their brains and learn from them. And then that also helped me to become a smarter investor, especially in the digital asset space where I'm investing now a lot, as you do as well. So anyway, that's kind of the story. I know we kind of went overboard, but that's where I am. I'm in St. Pete right now, beautiful St. Pete, Florida. And then we'll get to the next question. So I'll kind of add some more context to that.